Yes, I'm a little greasy and a little crispy, but I'm still here. And isn't that what really matters? Hey, hi, hello, friends. How is everybody doing? I am here to talk about our dear girl, Chantel. I'm actually going to be covering one of her lives today. I'm trying to get them out as fast as possible, so I'm filming this at the end of the day. Sorry if I look a little bit greasy and a little bit crispy, like I said in the beginning. This is a full day of wear on my face, and after like a whole day of work and everything, it can just get to be a lot sometimes. Plus, it's like hot. I'm hot all of the time. My house is hot. It's a bunch. So forgive me for that. And with that, let's actually talk about Chantel. So the video that I'm going to be covering today is her rage video. You guys know, as part of Chantel's cycle, she periodically goes through like a moment where she's really mad at everyone, where the criticism becomes too much for her to handle, and then she just like rages out at everyone involved. And that's a video we're going to talk about. It's the Greek food one. Now, I know I'm a little bit late. I'm always going to be a little bit late. I try my best, but still. But I still wanted to get my thoughts out. Despite what's happened today with her putting up the posts about her going to the ER and whatnot, I still think this is relevant. Because just because you suffered what she calls a relapse doesn't mean that you did not say these things before, right? Like, your current situation doesn't erase all previous action. Just because you're having a hard time now doesn't mean that you weren't an asshole before. And to deny that would mean to deny that all the people who felt affected by your assholery were all of a sudden also wrong. So I'm still going to go ahead and talk about it. I'll try and be as sensitive as I can. But like I said, my empathy for her is, I guess the best way to put it would be at an all-time low. She has not displayed the best behavior. She has not displayed any strength of character. She has not displayed any willingness to take accountability. And it makes it difficult for me to extend to her the courtesy that I would extend to almost anybody else in her particular situation. This is not for all addicts. It's not for all people suffering with mental health. But Chantel has a way of weaponizing mental health to meaning I do not deserve any criticism. And that if you are criticizing me, you're criticizing everyone who has a mental illness. And that is absolutely not true. My issue isn't with people who have a mental illness. It isn't with people who have an addiction. It isn't with any one group of people. It's with Chantel in particular. Because she uses most of these to deflect her terrible behavior away from it. You know what I mean? She uses them as a shield against all incoming criticism. And it's the same way that Gabby Hanna uses ADHD as a shield against all criticism. Chantel now uses, well, I'm an addict. Don't you know how hard it is for us? Yes, but you displayed the same behavior when you were overeating. You displayed the same behavior when you were overindulging in other areas of your life. And when people tried to point it out to you, all of a sudden they were fat shamers, they were like marijuana shamers, they were whatever shamers, right? All kinds of shaming we were doing. Pointing out that you had negative characteristics was apparently a bad thing to do then. But now that you're an addict, now that you've got a bigger group behind you, all of a sudden it's okay for you to say that, well, all those things are bad and I should never have been doing them and blah, blah. But any people who pointed out to me before, they're still bad people. It's the same behaviors that you displayed then that we have a problem with now. Just because your label has changed from food addict to cocaine addict doesn't mean that our criticism for you would change. I'm sorry, but if you showed any amount of credibility, if you showed any amount of integrity in your actions before, maybe you wouldn't be in the situation vis-a-vis the essentially lack of support that you're getting from the hater community at large, right? My thoughts are a little jumbled. I'm a little chaotic. With all of that said, let's actually get into talking about her video. As always, this has been edited down for brevity. I think it's about 10 minutes long. So let's see how much I talk.
I just want to say, I don't know, yesterday, I didn't take anything. That's like 100% swear on whatever. I wouldn't have gone live. Like, if I was, because I know with the people thing and people watching and everything. So, there's other reason. I have no idea why my pupils look like that. But 100%. Yeah, I'm not going to be answering to anybody about any of that anymore.
So, a couple things. I did a little bit of research into why her pupils could be large. Cocaine tends to be a very, very fast acting drug. So, if she had taken something, she would have had to take it within like 30 minutes of her being live for it to really have shown like an impact. Now, I'm not saying that that couldn't have been part of it, because there are after effects of taking cocaine that linger for up to 2 days at a time. So, I don't know if dilated pupils are one of them. But the immediate effects that you see, the jitteriness, the almost hyperactivity, those basically only last for about 30 minutes. The rest of them, they can last for, the rest of the effects of the drug, especially the negative ones, can last up to 2 days in a person. So she could be right in that if her timeline of what she said on her community tab post, she'd taken the drugs about 2 days ago, as you know, when she's talking about this, then maybe it was just the leftovers in her system that were causing her pupils to dilate. I can't say for sure. That being said, people questioning you on your behavior can't possibly be a surprise to you right now. Given your very spotted history and your lack of credibility with your audience and your even your own self-confessed actions of lying because you're an addict, like, you cannot expect that people will not be, I don't know, cynical of anything you have to say to them. You can't be shocked if people are unwilling to believe what you're telling them. This is the actions that you've brought onto yourself. You haven't shown that you can be trusted. And so now people don't trust you. You've lied to people, and now people expect lies. I'm sorry that you feel attacked and that you feel like people are giving you a hard time, but fundamentally, this is what you've sowed. This is the crop you reap. I can't help you with that. You've said you're a liar. You've admitted you're a liar. How can you now expect that people will not be upset with you for lying? How can you expect that people will now take your word for it?
I'm not ashamed for what I've done.
Of course. That's really silly that she says that she's not ashamed. If you weren't ashamed, you would have done it, and you would have done it and been immediately on camera. So either you are ashamed and you're trying to hide it from us, which we know she's done in the past, or you're not ashamed and you'd be doing it brazenly. But you can't have it both ways.
I'm not ashamed of being an addict. I'm not ashamed of having issues. So you're not going to shame me, and I'm going to keep my live streams members only, and if you're going to be an asshole, I'm just going to block you and move on.
She's saying this like these are new things, like she hasn't already been blocking people left, right, and center for saying anything that even mildly disagrees with what she wants on her streams. And fundamentally, no one is shaming her for being an addict. I'm not sure who it was, but it was either Milk Tea Reacts or Smokey Stephen Mark who'd said something in one of their videos at some point that there is a big difference between feeling ashamed and being shamed, right? You can feel ashamed because you yourself are unhappy with what you've done. And you could be shamed into feeling a certain way, right? I'd gone on Callie's channel, I'd gone live, and I'd given the story there about how someone had told me that the outfit that I was wearing, the same one that my little sister was wearing, looked worse on me than it did on her. I thought I looked good until someone said that. That is shaming me. That is making me feel something that I didn't feel before. If you feel judged, criticized, and essentially like people are going to look at you and think that you're a failure or anything of that sort, then you're feeling shame and you're internalizing things that people have never expressed to you. Like, if you feel that way all of the time, regardless of what people are saying, or even if what they're saying is like mildly negative to neutral, then maybe the problem lies with you and not with them. Because I know for a fact that people have left her comments like, I'm really disappointed that you did this. I was a really big fan of yours, but I'm really hurt by your actions. I defended you against French Fried Girl, and now, you're telling us that you'd been lying to us this whole time. That's not people shaming you. That's you feeling ashamed because you put people in a negative situation. It's not the same thing. I hope you can recognize that. And I hope that that's part of your recovery. From a lot of the 12-step programs that I've seen, like apologizing is one of the steps. And I hope that she does that. And I hope her audience is one of the people that she apologizes to. Because they deserve that apology. I'm not saying me. Don't give me an apology, right? Like, I have been very critical of her from the start. And I've said multiple times, I don't like her. As a person, I fundamentally think that she is unlikable. So you don't have to give an apology to me, but the people who are in your chat who supported you monetarily or just with their views, they deserve an apology. And yeah, once more, when it comes to blocking people and whatnot, she's been doing this all along. Like, that's not even a surprise. We all know that. That's always been Chantel's game.
And people get large for a lot of reasons. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. It could have just been, like, my body still, like, getting rid of stuff because I was doing... And so, like, how I was doing it was... I think I freaked out and was just having a weak moment. I don't know if I was actually... I don't know if I'm, like, actually super addicted because
there it is.
I go days without it. Like, I don't do it every single day.
Okay, so there's two things I want to clock here. So one is that she admitted that she was an addict, right? An addict implies that you are someone who needs to take the drugs. It's not a want, it's not a maybe, it's not a something you do occasionally for fun. You have to take it. You have to take it, otherwise you experience emotional and maybe physical negative side effects from not taking it, right? You have a response to it. That's what it means to be addicted. So it doesn't matter if you're taking it every day or every 3 or 4 days, you could still be considered an addict. It's just how often you take, the frequency with which you take is different. I don't know anyone in my life who is addicted to illegal substances of the sort. I have basically one person in my life who smokes cigarettes. And for them, they only smoke one cigarette every, I want to say like 4 or 5 days. But it's a habit. They cannot, like, they have to have that cigarette every 4 or 5 days. They can't not have it. It's a negative thing that they do. And the reason why I call it negative is because they have to do it. It's not a matter of want or maybe I can skip it. If they don't, they have negative, like, emotional effects from it. So when she says that, well, I wasn't taking it every day, I think this is a very softcore way of walking it back. This is to her cycle what normally we would see as her saying, well, everybody here is like fat shaming me and, you know, like fat acceptance and like intuitive eating. This is that phase of the cycle. But unlike with those things, she can't actually take back saying that I did cocaine and I've been doing it on a semi-regular basis. So this is her trying to walk it back without walking it back. That would be a step too far, I think, even for her audience. And she's like trying to find the softest way of going about it, right? The other thing I want to point out is that she's saying here that, you know, I wouldn't take it every 2 or 3 days, right? She's like, I would only take it every 2 or 3 days. I don't take it every day. If you guys have seen her rant, one of the things she said was that I had a relapse and that I took some stuff this tonight, but like I didn't take it the night before, which is the night where she was like all hyper and people were saying she'd taken it, but she had the night before that, right? So, and she called it a relapse. And I want to clock that word for a second. It's not a relapse. You just said that you're not taking the drug every day. That's your frequency of taking the drug. So if you're only taking the drug every 2 days, right? That's your frequency. The day in between is not considered to be a period of recovery. If you were doing it every other day and you'd gone 4 days, then I would say, okay, she is actually maybe relapsed because she was making an effort here. But if you're only taking the drug every 2 to 3 days and you took the drug on the 2nd or 3rd day mark, that's just following your pattern. I fail to see how you could qualify that as relapse.
Or didn't do it every single day. My pupils get large when I see a McDouble.
That's a Freudian slip, I'm going to go ahead and say.
So, for people being like, you're lying. No, I'm not. So just because you say I'm lying doesn't make it so.
Now, with the power of hindsight, we do know that she was lying. And you know how we lie is because she told us who she is. If someone tells you who they are, believe them. She said as much that addicts lie, and she's called herself an addict many times. As much as I think that she uses that label to deflect criticism away from her and to put herself in a bigger umbrella, I genuinely also think that she's describing her behavior. I don't think all addicts are the same, not at all. But in Chantel's mind, they are. You know? In Chantel's mind, she's like, oh yeah, all addicts lie. I'm an addict, therefore I lie. Therefore, I'm not sure why you expect it any better.
So I've been using for trying it for about 2 months or whatever.
See how she went from using it to trying it for about 2 months? You don't try something for 2 months. At that point, like, even a return period has run out. So you've been actively using for 2 months. I think it's a little bit longer than that, because it would make sense to me with her weight loss if she'd been using for almost about 3 months. I know that she was taking the Ozempic as well, but given how heavily she was indulging in marijuana and THC and edibles and all of those things to sort of counteract the effects that the Ozempic was having, it would make sense to me that most of that weight loss was drug related and not Ozempic related. Like, she was negating any effect that the Ozempic was having on her, and she was eating vast amounts of food on camera. So it would make perfect sense to me that maybe she wasn't doing it as regularly then, and that's why she's not really mentioning it. And now, at the 2-month mark, she noticed it in herself, right? Like, Chantel is as willfully ignorant as humanly possible. She doesn't want to see her actions for what they are, and so she doesn't. It's not to say that she's stupid, but she's willfully being ignorant of her own actions. So I think that she's maybe been indulging for about 3 months. But still, even if you say it's been 2 months, that's a fairly long amount of time. You can't classify that anymore as just trying it. I was just doing it for the party. You know what I mean? You're an addict at that point.
The first month, it wasn't, like, habitual. Started getting more habitual only maybe, like, this morning when I went live. Mm-hmm. Maybe for 3 weeks. I didn't do it, like, every single day. Like, it was only, like, maybe recently where I would start do it more and more.
So, fair enough. She noticed her habit was picking up, and she, like, clocked her own actions a little bit more strongly then. That being said, these sorts of things tend to escalate, right? Once you start with, I'm only going to do it at a party, then, all right, maybe just a couple times at home, and then once every few days, and then you're doing it every day, and then you're doing it multiple times a day, right? Like, that's how that slippery slope gets. And I don't think she's quite that far down yet, but that doesn't mean that she isn't somewhere in that timeline. That doesn't mean that she isn't still actively an addict, right? Just because she is not at the worst end where she's doing it multiple times a day doesn't mean that she's not still an addict. Doing it habitually, even a few times a day or once every week, is still an addict. It's about the emotional state that's attached to it. And quite frankly, I don't think that there is an emotional state that signifies that you have a healthy relationship with cocaine, right? Cocaine isn't like food. You can't have a good relationship with it.
So that's why I was, like, getting concerned, because I noticed myself getting it more and more, and just, like, wanting it more and more. Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that she at least clocked the behavior and that she's told us. Like, I know that she's getting a lot of blowback for it, but I'm still happy that she did that, because if nothing else, it puts a timestamp on it. And she says that her family watches this. So even if we can't do anything about it, maybe her family can. Thank you, Esme.
I thought I would just, like, be honest and, like, talk about it, but people are so, like, people love to shame addicts and food addicts and obese people. It's just, like, really disgusting and sad.
So she's gone from people are really mean to me to people are really cruel and love to shame addicts and food addicts and obese people. I'm sure there's a subsection of the population that does that for all obese people, that they hate everyone who's fat and everyone who's an addict and everyone who's like that. But once more, I'd like to give you the example of Gabby Hanna, right? Gabby Hanna is thin and Gabby Hanna is not an addict. But Gabby Hanna is getting a lot of criticism because Gabby Hanna is a pile of garbage in human flesh. And then I can give you the example of Smoky Glow, Hannah from Smoky Glow. Hannah is overweight. Hannah is a past addict herself. Hannah has a sordid history on the internet, and people give her almost universally nothing but love. It's your actions that define how much hate you get on the internet. People don't hate all addicts. People don't even hate most addicts. People don't like people who are dishonest and manipulative towards them. People don't like people who use their mental health as a shield against criticism. That's a really big issue people have. Look, everyone has mental health concerns, right? Like, everyone is going to experience highs and lows in their life. Some people have more neurodivergent experiences than others do. I myself have only had a couple of instances where I would have been classified as being depressed or anything like that. And I've said before, most of that was hormonal related. But I can tell you for a fact that if you are honest about your experiences, if you lean on people for help, people are actually a lot kinder than you would give them credit for. If she had been honest about this, then you know what? I think a lot of people, myself included, if she had just come on, like when she first started doing it, she's like, guys, I'm having a really hard time. I need to take a step away from the internet. I don't think I can do this. I've noticed that I've been taking drugs recently. You know, she'd done it early on in the addiction. I need to get a handle on this. I need to go talk to someone. I need to step away for a while. I can't handle this right now. I would almost inevitably have, at that point, stopped reacting to her because I would have felt sympathy for her. I would have appreciated that she was taking active steps towards getting better. But when she doesn't do that, when she doesn't take any active steps on her part, when she continuously puts all of her information online then expects privacy, when she continuously uses her mental health as deflection for all the other negative things that she does and expects people just to magically forget about that, it makes me not want to extend her sympathy. Right? Because I know she's doing it to play on my sympathies. I know that she's using the fact that she's having a hard time as a shield against all the other shitty things she does. Right? Being an addict now doesn't excuse you from having allowed people to make like Holocaust jokes in your chat. Fuck you for that. It doesn't excuse you from having told like a Jewish person to react to the Holocaust. It doesn't excuse you from having told Charlie Gold that she's Charlie Cole. It doesn't excuse you from having used the R word. Just because you're an addict doesn't mean you're not also an asshole. Right? And I can understand that sometimes, you know, like being an addict can bring out the worst in you. But by that logic, Chantel's been an addict her whole life and she's been an asshole her whole life. So no, I'm not willing to extend her just a blanket courtesy and say that, well, I won't say anything negative about her right now because she's having a hard time right now. Because she uses that as a shield to do even more shitty behavior. She uses that as a shield to be even more of a garbage person. Just like a day ago, she was saying that, you know, someone in her chat said, well, you know, I don't remember. They made a joke about Jews being in the oven, right? And rather than saying, hey, that's kind of maybe not appropriate, right? She's like, well, you know, I think people should be allowed to joke about anything. Okay. Then people can call you Chunky Junkie. That's a joke, right? People find that real funny, too. I should be allowed to joke about that. I should be allowed to mock your appearance. I should be allowed to call you a hippo on land. Because that's also a joke. If nothing is off limits, then everything is on the table and anyone can say it. I'm not saying that comedians should censor themselves. I have some Jewish friends and they have made like Jews in the oven joke. But the way that I always see this is this. First, what are the optics like? I know that sounds like a terrible thing, but that's something you have to keep in consideration. I have some friends who are fat and I've made fat jokes towards them because I know what our relationship is like and I know they know who I am. Right? So I can mock them a little bit and they'd be okay with it, right? Because they know I don't actually mean anything by it. You have a history of anti-Semitism as it is, so maybe don't go excusing other people's anti-Semitic language. Secondarily, I would think it would be much more okay for someone who is Jewish to make those kinds of jokes. It's a way of taking away from the trauma of something that happened like that, right? It's not okay for someone else to make those kinds of jokes. You want to think about these things. You want to think them through. You don't think them through because you don't care. You don't care how your language affects other people. And just like you didn't care that Shani is a raging racist who abuses her children as long as she gave you money. You didn't care about her being a garbage human fire until she went against you. Same way, you're willing... I think it was, Savage Keyboard, her mod who said that? Just like that, she doesn't care that Savage Keyboard is making Holocaust jokes. Right? This is the exact same situation. So I understand if people think that I am being harsh towards her. But please understand that sympathy, kindness are only extended to people for a certain amount of time. And I've given her my fair share of it. And I probably will again, right? Because fundamentally, I am like a mouse in a maze. I am apparently incapable of learning from previous mistakes. Or at least it's difficult for me to do so. And I'll probably give her more chances because that's just who I am. And I like to think that Chantel fundamentally is not a garbage person and can change, right? She's not a Curtis Lepore, for example. So... I'll probably, again, extend her sympathy and courtesy. But it's hard for me to do that in light of her recent behavior and light of her recent garbage actions.
I think I have been, becoming addicted, yeah. And I think I just, caught it you know? Because I'm not stupid. I don't want to destroy my life.
Addicts aren't stupid. That is a really fucking awful thing for people to think. Addicts aren't stupid. An addiction isn't something that people develop because they are idiots, right? No one wants to be addicted. It's not a fun thing. But when you've got things that you're dealing with in a negative manner, it's something that can happen, right? With opioid addiction, it's oftentimes someone got injured and they just got hooked on the medication and they couldn't stop. With Chantal, it's because she's as much an attention whore as she is anything else. She likes the feeling of being at like the center of attention. So when the opportunity presented itself, she wanted to show everyone, haha, I'm a party girl. I know what I'm doing. I'm so wild, don't you guys know? And she decided to do the drugs. And then she couldn't stop because she has an addictive personality. I think I said it in one of my videos before, but if I hadn't, I have an addictive personality. I am so worried about taking painkillers that in 2019 when I was hospitalized, I went through something traumatic and they gave me painkillers and I didn't take a single one of them because I was so scared that I wouldn't be able to stop. And I've never taken anything stronger than like a Tylenol PM. Yeah, I think I said Vicodin in the other one, but I didn't even take the Vicodin. I had my wisdom teeth pulled and all I took was some Tylenol. Because that's how scared I am. Because I know myself well enough to know that I would have a hard time breaking that kind of a habit. Chantal's been an addict her entire life. She should have at least that level of self-awareness.
And I know, like, with partying too much, I think I was just, like, really, like, the, like, party lifestyle, neglecting everything shitty in life that everyone has to deal with.
She's never exactly dealt with anything in her life, which is why she's in the position that she's in now. And it's not like a party lifestyle. She wants it to be a party lifestyle, but she's not going out to raves doing like cocaine in the bathroom, right? That's not what she's doing. She went to a guy's house. He had easy access to drugs. She had sex on a mattress on the floor, and someone threw money at her to show her tits. That's not a party lifestyle. That's essentially like I said, one step away from our sequel to Requiem for a Dream. And the fact that she thinks this is what a party lifestyle is sad in and of itself. Like I've said before, I've never lived a party lifestyle. It's not who I am. I'm a boring person. I don't do anything. I don't go anywhere. I like being at home. I like having friends over, and that's it. That's it. I don't have a fun, exciting lifestyle. That's why I don't talk about it all the time. But that doesn't mean that I don't recognize a party lifestyle when I see it. I have friends who like very hardcore partied when they were in their 20s, right? Like early 20s, they were like all about going to the frat parties and drinking till you puked and that kind of thing. And still, you know what? Still, they recognize that that was only okay for that situation. Some of them got better and some of them left all of that behind them. And I don't think she's ever actually experienced that sort of phase in her life where you got to be young and wild and free with your friends and just overdo it on everything and grow out of it. And this is her stunted way of living out that fantasy in her like mid to late 30s when her body is falling apart.
Just to like go and have fun and but it's not worth it. Like after you just feel so much like crap, it's not worth it.
No, it's not worth it.
People are not being constructive at all about this. I'm getting attacked super bad.
Mm-hmm. I want to dispel this rumor that all criticism has to be constructive. It is not my job to help you improve as a person. I can if I want to, right? And I genuinely try and offer advice so that people can take something away from it. But, for example, I mentioned Curtis Lepore earlier. As you know, Curtis Lepore is, as far as I'm concerned, he should be one of the first people to be launched directly into the sun. I don't have to be nice to him and offer him constructive criticism if I'm criticizing him. I think he's a bad person, and I can call him a shithole to his face, and I'm okay with it. I don't have to be constructive there. It is not my job to educate you. If someone comes into my comments and says, go back to your own country, which I've gotten a couple of, it is not my job to be kind to them and say, well, this is how you're wrong. It is not my place to do emotional labor to help somebody else grow. So, no, not all criticism has to be constructive. You need to learn how to take criticism and take something away from it, right? What I learned from people saying go back to your own country was people are sometimes stupid. Haha, not my problem. Right? You could choose to take a similar approach. Learn something from what people are saying. But just because they're not laying out an action plan for you to follow doesn't mean that what they're doing is wrong. It really bothers me because I hear this a lot about like, oh, they're not offering any constructive criticism. Bitch, why is it my fault? Why do I have to help you do this? You have good health care. Canada gives you good health care, right? So you've got health care and you can use that to grow as a person. You can go see a therapist. You can go to libraries and read books. You can watch informational TED Talks on the internet. You can listen to your fucking mom. All of those things would help you. I am not here to be that for you. I don't owe you anything. So no, I don't think that my criticism needs to be constructive. I try to make it constructive sometimes, right? I try to explain to you why I think what I think and maybe what she could do. And when I'm conflicted, I tell you guys that. But just because someone isn't following that same course of action doesn't mean that they're in the wrong here. And the entitlement to which that speaks to me, of someone just sitting there being like, well, you have to give me advice on how I should become a better person, otherwise you are a bad person. You're already a bad person. You should be learning from your own experiences. I shouldn't need to come up here and tell you, this is why you're wrong, and maybe this is how you cannot be a garbage person, right? You can do that on your own. You have resources available to you to figure it out on your own.
And yes, some reaction channels who make up fucking lies, like I've been using for 6 months and all this other shit, for views.
Okay.
You're just ridiculous, and you're just causing more stigma and bullshit, which has always been the fucking problem.
Okay, how are we causing stigma? I mean, I'm not one of the channels who said that she's been using for 6 months. I said before, I think she's only been doing it for maximum of 3 months. I don't think she's been doing it for longer than that. That said, she's talking about French Fried Girl here. French Fried Girl has always been careful about saying that she thinks, right? They're still her opinions. Not a lie if it's an opinion. An opinion is not an objective fact. And once more, like I said, it's a story we tell about a story. Since no one knows her personally, at least part of the reaction channels as far as I know, right? We can't know the objective truth. Therefore, everything we're saying is just conjecture. It's just what we've pulled from watching her life. So, no, it's not a lie. A lie would mean that we know the truth. We don't know the truth. And as for you using for 6 months, I don't think that's true. I don't think she's been on cocaine for 6 months, but I 100% believe that she was an addict then and she's an addict now. She's just been transferring and transferring and transferring and transferring her addiction for as long as she's been living, it seems like.
I don't care if you make fun of me or laugh at me or do parodies of me or talk about whatever, but don't start shit. Don't cause shit just for your own fucking gain.
She absolutely cares, because if she didn't care, she wouldn't have been on her previous stream saying, what's the tea? What's the tea, you guys? Tell me what's the tea.
You know what I mean? Like, seriously. What's there to talk about after, a few hours of the same thing? You know? Like, is she using? Is she not using? Is she not? Believe it or don't, but whatever.
A lot of what we do is essentially parse out the truth from your bullshit, right? Because part of it is just that Chantel tends to see the world in a very specific black and white way through her own filter and her own lens. She's incapable of looking at things objectively, and she's very good at ignoring what she doesn't want to acknowledge. So part of it is just understanding that, oh yeah, this is what Chantel thinks happened, and this is what actually happened. Another part of that is when she's actively lying and actively keeping things from us. So we go through and we're like, okay, well, which parts of this seem likely? Which parts of this do you think are true? And then we talk about those, right? That's what there is to talk about. And then also there's delving into why we think she does what she's doing. What's happening around her, what the explanations are, and essentially putting her channel into the wider perspective of life and not just in the isolated, hermited existence that Chantel leads. That's mostly why I think people watch. It's to watch people break down why she behaves this way and what the issue with it is. I watch a lot of movie review channels and media review channels. If you guys haven't watched Lady Night the Brave, please do. And one of the things they do is they tell me why I feel the way that I feel about certain pieces of art, right? Sometimes I'll watch something and I can't explain why I don't like it or why I have an issue with it until I watch somebody else who is maybe more perceptive in picking up the differences and stuff like that to point it out to me. And then I can say, wait, that does make sense. A really good example of that would be, I think her name is Quinn Curio. She did an entire video about abuse and about the Umbrella Academy, and I loved it. I loved the understanding, and there's something there that I couldn't put my hand on, and she described it in a way that was perfect. She made me realize my own feelings, right? That's what I think that reaction channels provide for people when they're watching Chantel. They feel a certain way sometimes, but not everybody has the I guess sometimes just like something as simple as like the vocabulary to be like, well, why do I not like what she said? What was it about it that pinged me the wrong way? And sometimes hearing somebody else express your frustrations can make that a little bit more clear. That's not to say that I don't think any of you guys are like dumb or anything like that. That's not what I mean. I just mean that some people are more perceptive at something, some people are better at explaining some things, and sometimes it's just fun. People are just funny. Like I said, I think Dammit Shane is one of like the funniest people on the internet. I watch like almost every video he puts out, and he's very, very good at explaining things. And I like listening to him because he makes me giggle, right? Sometimes that's all you need.
I mean, I don't care. Like, honestly, like, I know myself what I'm doing, and that's just how it's gonna be. You know?
Apparently what she's doing is the drugs.
When I have more developments on therapy, yada yada yada, all this and that, then I don't have the plastic fork. I'll let you guys know, like in an update or something.
We got an update, all right.
For now, excuse me.
Did get an update. Not the kind that she wanted.
You know, okay, we need feta cheese in our life right now.
Oh God. Should have cut this out. I should have cut this out. I'm sorry to everyone.
I know.
Look at
like, do you not see like? You're in a group talking about somebody that's not even in the group for like hours. Somebody who doesn't even see what you're saying. Talking about my problems in life. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's so weird.
Hasn't she discussed, okay, let's change the topic and let's talk about like the people on 90 Day Fiancé. Isn't that like the exact same thing? None of the people on 90 Day Fiancé are part of your channel. They don't watch you as far as you know. So you're just a group of people sitting there talking about someone who's not in the chat and for the most part talking shit about them. How is what you do any different? Just because you're on YouTube doesn't mean that the action is any different, right? Your behavior is still the same and our behavior is still the same. It might feel more personal to you because, you know, there's not a big production crew behind you editing you to seem a certain way, but that doesn't fundamentally mean that that what we're doing is all that much different from talking about like the trash TV that your life is, right? Like it's not different from talking about like Love Island or 90 Day Fiancé or Keeping Up with the Kardashians. People form groups and they talk about it because people like discussing other people. It's what we do as a human species.
But whatever. Anyway, I know that's not going to stop, and that's fine, but I'm just saying.
Obviously, it's fine.
I'm not going to entertain any of that crap, so.
Entertaining would imply that she's actually been entertaining us until now. She hasn't been doing any of that crap.
Whatever. I've been like, oh, you fucking crackhead and stuff. Get it right, number one. Learn crack is not cocaine. Thank you.
I left this in here because she says it with such an air of smug superiority. She's like, first of all, learn it. Crack is not cocaine. Crack is literally cocaine. Fun fact. The only difference between crack and cocaine is that you snort cocaine and you smoke crack. But it's literally the same thing. You know what the other big difference between crack and cocaine is? Cocaine is done by white people. And that's why it tends to have a lesser sentencing for jail. Cocaine was mostly an epidemic for white people. Crack was mostly an epidemic for black people, right? It was a more easily available form in colored neighborhoods. And when they say the war on drugs is racist, that's what people mean when they say it. There is such a harsher sentencing for crack when it is literally the same thing as cocaine. So you're ignorant about this situation. You're ignorant about what you're doing, and you have no idea. So maybe just don't talk out of your ass, right? Like, I've been wrong on stuff before, and I'm perfectly willing to admit it. But I try not to at least be so smug about stuff when I come on here, calling people idiots left, right, and center. Yeah, we're the morons. You're the moron. They're the same
People
thing.
can accept when I fail? What do you think I am? A fucking saint?
I don't understand. Can we not accept when she fails, or are we like making things up because we want her to fail? Which narrative is it right now? Because I want to know what I should be doing right now, right? Am I supposed to be rooting for you to fail? Or am I supposed to be hoping that you fail so I have content for my channel? Right? Like am I supposed to be mad that like you are failing right now? How dare you not be perfect? So which of the two is it? Am I rooting, cheering, hoping for your failure? Or am I mad that you failed? Because it seems to me like what people want for you is to be better. For you to not engage in these destructive behaviors. You don't do any of that, and then people get upset at you. Right? And somehow that's twisted itself up into your head into saying that, well, you know, everything that people want is for me to fail all of the time. And when I don't, people get mad. But also at the same time, they want me to fail. They want me to fail so that, you know, like they have stuff for their channel. But also remember, if I'm not perfect, everyone is mad at me. It's somehow all of those things simultaneously, not realizing there's an inherent contradiction there.
Sorry. I'll try to be perfect for you.
Chew with your mouth
I don't
closed.
understand.
Chew with your mouth closed. That's not too much to ask for. Sorry, it's a petty point, but genuinely it really irritates me. But no one's asking for you to be perfect. Taking steps towards bettering yourself would quell the anger that a lot of people feel, myself included.
If you hate me when I fail, it has nothing to do with me. You hate yourself for having problems like mine, and you hate yourself, so you hate me because of that too. That's what I think. I don't know. Otherwise, I can't understand why somebody with issues as well would, you know what I mean?
So she's not entirely wrong when she says that. People do dislike it when she fails at something sometimes because they're like, well, I relate to that. I want her to be better because I want to be better. But that's not the majority of the reason when people are mad at you. I don't think there's a lot of people on here who would do cocaine for 2 months and then come on and say to everybody, well, if you haven't forgiven me in the 2 weeks since I've told you, then all of you are bad people and idiots, you know?
Yeah, I do think people shame addicts. You don't? You have to be blind.
People do shame addicts. 100% people shame addicts. 100% they treat them like less than. But that's not you, right? We're not treating you like this because you're an addict. We're treating you like this because you're you. If there's one thing people can say is that our reactions to her haven't changed since she's become an addict. We can't be addiction shaming her if we've always thought that she was a garbage person.
You have to be blind. You don't think what's happening to Amber Lynn is addiction shaming? Food addiction, whatever. People always shame addicts, even in real life, like even off of YouTube.
Once more, she's linked herself and Amber Lynn together, even though she's often said how much she hates it when other people do that. I just want to point that out.
It's a big thing, mental illness. Sincere concerns, equal bullying. Like, you can be concerned about somebody all you want, but at the end of the day, it's that person's life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but we don't have to accept it in silence. We realize that it's your life. We realize that you can say and do whatever you want, but that doesn't mean that we have to sit here and watch you be a shitty human being and watch you lie to your audience, manipulate them, gaslight them, be bigoted online, and just sit back and be like, well, I guess it's their life. People can be however they want. That is not an excuse. Just because you're being a garbage person doesn't mean that I have to accept that you're a garbage person. I could be mad about it. That's why there's so many people talking about political discourse online every single day. Because they think that the other side is being a bad person, right? So, no. I don't have to just silently accept that you're going to be like this. And more importantly, I want to talk about this as much as I possibly can, at least right now. Because I don't want anyone else watching her and think like, oh, well, this is a good idea. I don't want anyone watching and be like, well, Chantel did coke for 2 months. She lost 70 pounds. Maybe I can do it and catch it just in time and then also lose 70 pounds. Right? Because that's the impression she's giving here. That it was that easy. It was just that simple to catch it. She's like, I can just do it on my own. I don't need to go to a program. I don't need to tell anybody. I shouldn't even have told you guys. It's a dangerous precedent to be setting.
And if you don't want to support me, then don't. But don't come here and just cause bullshit because The lies I've told? Well,
So, just a couple things. When it comes to going on her channel and saying bullshit, I mean, like, I would really encourage people to not go onto her channel and just, like, call her names and belittle her appearance. Because I do want Chantel to listen to the actual criticism. And when you do things like that, when you just spam over and over again and you just say, like, I've seen people do that in her chat sometimes. They'll just, like, say, like, fat ass, fat ass, fat ass, or something to that accord over and over again. I don't think that's helpful at all. And more importantly, I think that she's just going to block you instantaneously and you're not really going to get very much out of her, right? Like, she's got too many mods that are way, way too enabling to ever let her see anything like that, especially. But when you see, when you're trying to talk to Chantel, I don't think that you should at all refrain yourself from telling her what you think, right? You don't have to, like, insult her appearance. It would be like, I'm disappointed in your behavior. I think that you're using bigoted language. I think that you're allowing anti-Semites on your channel. I think that you are putting the blame on us for obviously your own poor decisions. I don't think we should have to refrain from saying any of that.
lies. Hiding that I was using? Well, yeah. Who?
Well, yeah. Yeah, of course I lied about that. Of course, anybody would lie about that. Everybody would lie about that. But why should that make you think that, you know, you can't trust me in the future? I know I lied to you guys for 2 months, but of course everybody should have done that. Everybody would do that. Why? What do you mean you can't trust me anymore? I don't understand. Do you not hear yourself?
I didn't lie about that. I don't know.
It's
like,
fine. Just a little small lie about how much cocaine I've been doing for 2 months. You know? Just a little lie like that.
Everybody's told lies.
Yeah. Sure, I've told lies. I tell my mother sometimes that I'm busy, I can't talk right now, when in reality, I'm just too tired to talk to her. Sure, I've told lies. I didn't tell partner what I was doing because I was planning him a surprise party. Sure, I told my boss that, you know, I'm sorry, I'm having some car trouble, when in reality, I forgot to set my alarm the night before. I've told lies. Everybody has told lies. Those are small, inconsequential lies. You know what I haven't done is I haven't lied consistently to people who have given me money for my existence, and told them that everything is fine and that everything other people have been saying about me is in fact a grievous misunderstanding and a lie in and of itself, when in reality everything has been true and I've just been manipulating them. I've never done that. I've never treated people like that. Everybody lies, that's true. Most people, I think, lie, and I think most people should lie at least to some degree, right? Sometimes it's easier to tell someone that, yeah, I think that the name you've picked out for your baby is great, even though you think it's hideous, because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings. Everybody should lie at least a little bit, some of the time. But nobody lies like this, right? Nobody, like, keeps information like this from everybody around them. And then even if you do, because I can understand, addiction can be hard. This isn't the first or the only time that Chantel has done this. This isn't the first or the only time that Chantel has kept secrets like this, right? And she said that she was doing something and then she publicly came out later and said, well, that wasn't what was happening. And more importantly, I haven't gaslit people. People don't go back and they gaslight people into thinking, well, you might think that I'm doing this when in reality I've never done it, and anyone saying otherwise is wrong as well, and you're stupid for thinking that way to begin with. That's what she's doing. That's what she has been doing. And the fact that she doesn't recognize that and that she equates that to me telling my boss that, hey, I'm having car troubles is absolutely ridiculous.
If I told the truth, I'd get the same amount of hate, exactly.
I guess we'll never know now, will we?
People just want to be fucking pissed off about something so they can keep growing their channel and having gossip about something.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. The drug use is obviously nothing. We're obviously blowing this out of proportion. I mean, who here hasn't done 2 months of cocaine? Am I right, guys?
Well, you know what? I'm gonna starve you bitches. And from now on, you're not gonna see anything other than perfect, healthy me. Don't worry about it. Starting tomorrow.
And that's the story of her life, right? You're nothing gonna see anything other than perfect, healthy me. Starting tomorrow. Yeah, I just did a little bit of drugs and I just overate on all this food. And I'm just actively making my fatty liver much, much, much worse. But, like, tomorrow I'll be better. Tomorrow I'll be better. I promise I'll be better. Right? There's always the promise of tomorrow. That's all it is for Chantel. She's great at making plans. She's great at saying that I'm going to do things tomorrow, and she never actually does. She never follows through with anything. Chantel makes a better plan than almost anybody I've ever met, and she has zero follow-through. And starve me, please. I'd love that.
Defending, why? Why would people be stupid for defending me? I don't deserve defending just because I've used some cocaine?
It depends on what they're defending. If they're defending your right to be on the internet, absolutely they should defend you, right? I think that that is a personal decision. I think that what people find acceptable is very different. So if they're defending you being on the internet and you making money off of your channel, then yeah, okay, if you can make a good enough argument, go for it. If they're defending you doing cocaine, then absolutely you don't deserve defending. If they're defending giving you money while you're in the middle of a cocaine addiction so you can use that money and put it directly up your nose, absolutely they should not be defending you. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I would rather, and I'm sorry that I feel this way, that I would rather she be homeless than she be dead. And that's where this is going to go. If you guys aren't aware, just today they released DMX's cause of death. He died from a cocaine-induced heart attack. DMX was in fairly good shape otherwise. That man had so many resources available to him, and he died of a cocaine-induced heart attack by himself. You're telling me that that can't happen to her with her myriad of health conditions? You want to sit there and defend this kind of behavior? You want to continue giving her money? That is ridiculous. And yeah, you should be ashamed of defending yourself. You should be ashamed of defending her, sorry, if that is what you're supporting. And no, I don't think that anybody has the right to defend someone who is in the middle of a cocaine addiction like that. And when they're actively lying and like gaslighting, and they're actively avoiding getting help for their obvious deteriorating health. I'm like generally a little bit better spoken. I'm just having like difficulty articulating my thoughts because I'm quite mad at her. This idea of people are defending her and that they should be fine to defend her because she's like, she doesn't deserve defense because she's a cocaine addict, or big addicts don't deserve defense. That's how she phrases it always. Absolutely addicts deserve to be defended. Absolutely addicts deserve to have courtesy and kindness and sympathy shown to them. But that doesn't mean excusing your bullshit behavior. Or is saying that you're being anti-Semitic for allowing anti-Semitic language on your channel, and in fact making excuses for anti-Semitic language on your channel, is that also somehow addiction shaming? I want to know.
Like, what's the problem with that? Like, so people who use cocaine are not deserving of anything?
No one said that. You made it about everybody at large. But I'm saying that you are definitely not deserving of super chat money that you're immediately going to snort and potentially kill yourself with.
Monetizing addiction? How? So reaction channels are all pissed that I'm monetizing addiction.
Yeah.
So people who are addicted don't have a right to a fucking platform. That was my problem with Eugenia Cooney.
Mm-hmm.
And people trying to deplatform. Like,
she caught herself right there. Because the issue that a lot of people had with Eugenia Cooney wasn't deplatforming, right? It was. Some people definitely want to deplatform her, and I can see where they're coming from. But a good portion of people wanted to demonetize her channel. They don't think that she should be making money off of essentially promoting anorexia on her channel. Just like people don't think that Foodie Beauty should be getting money for essentially promoting addiction and binge eating on her channel, right? And I fully agree with that. We are not silencing you. You want to talk about it, girl, you go ahead and scream it from the mountaintops, but nobody should be paying you to be this way. I am 100% behind that, especially when it comes to Eugenia Cooney. Because that might actually get her to stop posting and actually go do something about her life. That might actually get her, like, once it starts affecting people's wallets, that's when people are actually motivated to change. So when Chantel comes on here and she says, oh, well, I don't know why you're trying to silence me. No one should be trying to silence me. I deserve to have a platform. Have a platform. Talk as much as you want. But talking and getting paid for talking are two very different things. And once more, I've said it before in the past, I'll say it again here, but talking about you isn't killing me. The addiction is killing you. It will kill you if you let it get far enough. So
Are you kidding me? If you deplatform me, what are you gonna do for money and content?
Okay.
Give me a break.
Okay. All right. I have a full-time job. Most of us who talk about you have a full-time job. Most of us who talk about you have other ways of earning money. This is the only way that you earn money. This is your whole bag. I I kind of want to like be shady and like put up like a screen grab of how much I've made this month so people understand how little I actually make off of this. This is more a passion for me than it is anything else. That's why I say like if you guys can support me at Patreon, I would appreciate it because I'd like to use this to like I'd like to use this to like be able to improve my channel, right? But for my food, for my rent, for my travel that I like doing, for the clothes that I'm wearing, for the makeup I put on my face, all of that I pay for myself. I don't need this channel. I want this channel. That's a different thing. I like having this channel. Absolutely. I appreciate you guys 100%. But I don't need this channel. The money that you give me isn't so great. Okay? It's like $300 maybe a month. And that's if I'm posting regularly, which you guys know sometimes is very hit or miss. So when you come on here and you say, oh, well, what are you going to do for money? Bitch, I don't need this. I don't need this money.
Like, you're allowed to talk about it and monetize it, but I'm not. What makes me a bad person?
You can try and talk about it and monetize it, but when you are actively monetizing your addiction, when you come on here and you talk about, well, I'm just partying a little, man. Do you remember when she first started hooking up with Dom and she told us how she took one hoot off of a meth pipe, I think? And she said something along the lines of, it's like none of you have ever left your hometowns. That's actively glorifying doing meth. So don't come on here and tell me that you're not like actively monetizing addiction, actively monetizing illicit drug use. You are saying that if you do drugs like these, then you are cool. Otherwise, you're square and you're boring. Right? Like, so when you come on here and you're like, well, you know, how come they're allowed to talk about it? Because I'm not saying it's a good thing to do. I think it's a terrible thing to do. I don't think anyone should try it even once. There is no situation in which doing meth, cocaine, or any other party drug is a good thing. Except for like THC and edibles and stuff like that in moderation, right? I don't think that there is any real benefits for that. So, no, there is a difference there. Nobody was in the court of yay drugs. You were the only one who was in the court of yay drugs. So people can't say, yeah, you're like glorifying addiction. You're monetizing addiction.
Like, seriously, I'd like to know that I lied about using. Okay. People like make up that I'm lying about stuff that I'm not even lying about.
All right, I want to end it on that part because I want to talk really quickly about why I think she's a bad person. The thing that I think Foodie Beauty doesn't seem to understand, it's that it's not her food addiction that makes us unhappy with her. It's not her eating that makes her unhappy with her. It's not her anything, really. It's not her marijuana use, her edible use, her relationships that make us think that she's a bad person. We think that she's a bad person because she lies. We think that she's a bad person because she manipulates. We think that she's a bad person because she cheated on pretty much every partner she's ever had. We think that she's a bad person because she used drugs and made them quote unquote cool. We think that she's a bad person because she's used bigoted languages. I think that she's a bad person because she excuses bigoted languages. I think that she's a bad person because she would do all of that. She would make a whole fuss about how sad she is about the indigenous people in Canada, while at the same time being okay with having a mod who talks about putting Jews in the oven. So that's why I think you're a bad person. This is just one thing in a line of things. And for anyone else, an event that would garner sympathy is only garnering you more negative reaction because that is the audience that you have reaped. That is the audience you have cultivated. When you have such little credibility with the internet, people aren't want to treat you with kindness. I'm sorry that you feel this way, but it is what it is. Right now, she is live streaming again after saying that she's going to take a little bit of time off the internet and come back when she's feeling better. She can't because Chantel is an addict in every aspect of her life, and the attention that she gets is just one more form of addiction. So she can't stay off the internet, even though she should. And of course, she's going to turn back around and she's going to say, oh, well, you know, privacy, privacy. I want privacy. I should have the ability to deal with this privately. But she doesn't seem to recognize that she came online, she turned on the camera, and she's the one who decided to talk about her addiction. She's the one who decided to talk about going to the ER. She's the one who decided to tell us all of this. I just want everyone to remember that the next time people are like, oh, well, why, why, no. Why are you not, giving her privacy? Why aren't you treating her kindly? I try to treat her kindly. She is not conducive to being treated kindly because she's not a nice person. I don't know how else to put it. She uses her mental illnesses and her addictions as a shield against any negative criticism that she could be getting. She never holds herself accountable, and she never does a true reflection on why she could be getting the hate that she does. If she had just once come on here and given a sincere apology that she didn't backtrack on and immediately nullify, I would be willing to give her so much more empathy right now. But much like with everything else in life, empathy is a limited resource. And Foodie Booty is very quickly running out of all reserves of empathy that people on the internet in general have for her. Anyway, sorry that this took such a dark turn towards the end. I have a lot of feelings about this. I'm pretty upset with the way that Chantel is behaving right now. Overall, I think it's real garbage person behavior, but that doesn't surprise me in the least. This video in particular made me really upset. I will probably do another video talking about the live that she did and those posts that she made regarding going to the hospital. I may or may not, actually, I don't know. The posts in particular, Milk Tea Reacts put out a fantastic video breaking them down. So I think everything I wanted to say she's covered already. So if you guys want to go watch that, I'd recommend going to see that if you want to know where I kind of stand as well. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry I was a little bit more scattered. It's late, I'm tired, and she's very irritating to me right now. As always, if you guys like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you hated this video, go ahead, give me a thumbs down. That's totally okay. I respect everybody's opinions here. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Hit the notification bell down below and hit all if you want to know when I upload any videos right away. I've got all my social medias linked down below. I've got Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. Think of Patreon as the tip jar for the internet. So if you like the job that I'm doing here, hey, consider tossing a few coins in my direction. I already told you guys what I feel about how much we make on YouTube. It's really not all that much. So anything that you guys give me just goes towards helping pay for essentially this setup and trying to save enough to put together a decent quality camera, lights, and mic setup. That's kind of what I'm saving for right now. I had to make a few purchases vis-a-vis software and chair and stuff, so that put me back a little bit, but everything helps. Anything you guys can give me would be a huge benefit. But once more, please don't feel stressed about it. I wanted to give a special shout out to my $25 patron, D. Higgins. Thank you, girl. I love you. And as always, I'm Jasmine, the sequel, and I am not relatable. Peace. A special thank you to my patrons, Acrophobe, Ariel M, Christina, Courtney EP, Wild Rose, Santhal, Jam Beans, Lauren Chris, Debbie Elliott, Juliet Q, Justa Jude, Kate O, and a special thank you to my $25 patron, D. Higgins.